Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the 24th day of March, 2026. I hope you're all safe and healthy this morning and your families are safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the area of health, along with first responders every day doing their best to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those that are helping the people that are victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, profiteers, and those perverts that create the demands that cause these evil industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There's going to be a basketball game tonight at Madison Square Garden. The New York Knicks will be hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. But before we get to that, I'd like to quickly touch base on the Detroit Pistons, who are number one in the Eastern Conference and our chief rival. They're for real. The Pistons are for real. Last year, if you recall, Cleveland was running away with the Eastern Conference during the regular season. And I was never worried about Cleveland. Never. Because despite that they were doing so good, winning 60-plus games, I knew the Knicks could beat them. Okay? This is different. This Detroit team, which, again, from the time they drafted Cade Cunningham, I've been saying they were going to be monsters eventually. You could take their lunch money when they was young, but when they get to age, they're going to be tough. We're here. Last night I watched the ending of the game. I'm not really watching, but I was following the score while I was watching a movie. And because, to be honest, I'm not really interested in most NBA teams. I like good basketball, no matter where it's played, but I'm really interested in the Knicks and anything that can help the Knicks. So that's the only reason I'm watching Lakers versus Detroit. Now, when Cade and them first came, I was interested in Detroit because I was watching their development. Same with Orlando. When Orlando got Paolo Banchero, I was watching Orlando, so I would pick Detroit, Orlando, and I wanted to follow the Timberwolves because of Juju and Devo when they first, got Juju and Devo. So there's reasons, but most of the time I don't really follow NBA. I follow the Knicks. So I'm watching Detroit at the end against the Lakers. Tough game down to the wire. Okay, no Cade Cunningham. But I'm telling you, man, this kid that they got, that's now starting, Dennis Jenkins, real deal, Holyfield. This kid, 39 minutes last night, 30 points, including the game winner out of St. John's, 6'4", 165, tough defender, and obviously, a shooter. Well, he can shoot when he needs to. And this is the thing about Detroit. They are, as a team, shooting 34% from three, which indicates they don't shoot the three well. And it's usually true until it's a nationally televised game. So, the Knicks played Detroit 3 times this season. First time, they lose by 31. Second time, they lose by 38. Third time, they lose by only 15 without beef stew. And so I'm like, the team is for real. Now, we understand last year we had the same situation with Boston. Boston was whooping our behind all season till it came to the playoffs. Now, I was watching highlights from the Knicks-Boston playoffs yesterday. And yeah, the Knicks are also... what I saw in the games, first of all y'all calling for Mikal Bridges and whining about him, stay off my channel. I don't want to hear from you. The boy is for real, especially when it come playoff time, especially when it come defense on playoff time, hitting big shots. The energy that they had in the playoffs last year on the defensive end of the floor against Boston, tough, man, tough. And what happened was Detroit and Indiana were attacking Jalen Brunson. That's the game plan for the opponents. As I mentioned to you, physical against the Knicks, and attack Brunson. The problem is Brunson ain't recognizing what he need to do, or at least he's fighting it. Look, they beat us by 31. We had less than 20 assists that game. Brunson took more than 20 shots. They beat us by 38. We only had like 16, 20 assists. Brunson again took 20 shots or more. We lose both games. Okay? Big. The last one we lost by 15. The Knicks only had 12 turnovers. But again, Brunson is trying to fight the pressure. He's trying to fight against it, and it's a trap. Against it, like, okay, you're playing Washington. You're playing a depleted Indiana team. You're playing Brooklyn. You could get away with it and still win the game. You cannot against Detroit. You cannot. Okay? Now, come playoff time in a 7-game series, and I know we got Pelicans tonight. Don't worry, I'm going to get to that. But listen, this team is for real, and point I'm trying to make is the Knicks need to prepare for that, and I'm very confident now, especially after this past Sunday. When I, over this past weekend, from the Friday game and the Sunday game, when I saw Brown yelling them to move the basketball, understand he's really talking to Jalen Brunson. And then also during the course of this 6-game winning streak, how they came out in the second half and played New York Knicks basketball because they went and made adjustments. And again on Sunday, that dimension of not only from Cat, Josh, and Jalen, but also from Brown himself about how he has to call a timeout. He don't like having to do that in the first quarter because they should be ready to play the game plan. Helps me understand what Brown said after the last loss to Detroit. He said, I'm going to be looking forward to figuring out how to dissect Detroit, which means that they already know what they got to do. It's up to our guys to follow game plan. Now, we got 10 games left, okay? They got to use these 10 games to practice following game plan. So tonight, they got DeJounte Murray. This is an excellent test because Murray is very much a lot like Cade in that he's long, thin and long, athletic, and he loves to get into the paint and shoot over smaller defenders like Brunson. So you got to push him to the sides. That's what Brown's been telling the Knicks. And you could see it from the opening tip because sometimes, like, opening tip, somebody comes right down the middle of the floor. You're like, where the hell's the game plan? And I don't know what happens, but that happens. That's a thing. So they have to push them to the outside. If it's a guy like a Cade or DeJounte Murray, you got to show double. You show double, which means you get the ball out of his hands and get back to your man quick. Now, I'm very confident from looking at the Boston series last year, just some highlights from the Boston series last year. Come playoff time, they'll be ready to do that. What beat us last year, both Indiana, especially Indiana and Detroit, open threes on the weak side. Last year, if you recall, the Knicks were beating Indiana until Nesmith went off for 6 threes. And by the time they started trying to guard him, it was too late. He was already hot. When NBA players get hot like that, then it don't matter. You could be dressed on them. You could be a coat on them, and they still gonna hit threes. And then the same thing with Malik Beasley, which we end up overcoming that, but we cannot allow from the opening tip weak side threes. So they got to start doing that now. And what also helped me was the reason that Mike Brown made Cat Defensive Player of the Game against Brooklyn was he said he's improving in his pick and roll defense. That's how Indiana beat us. Halliburton they would set it up so that they'd get Cat and Brunson in a pick and roll. They switch till they got Brunson on, Halliburton. Then they bring the pick and roll up from the center, and Halliburton was picking us apart and getting those floaters. That's what beat us last year. Cat is improving in this area. This is the biggest area for Cat. Now, I've seen it. There's still times during the course of a game where Cat is completely lost on the defensive end. He's standing in a one-man zone, and everybody's moving. And by the time he figures out where he's supposed to be, layup. It still happens. I will say, though, he's gotten a lot better at it. So this is the thing. These last 10 games, this is what we got to focus on. Pushing players to the sideline. ball movement, getting them assists up to 30. Okay? Protecting the paint. That's a function of pushing them to the side, protecting the paint, and guarding the weak side three. Again, this is why we lost in the playoffs last year. This is how Indiana beat us. And then, of course, the pick and roll. You've got to be better. Now, teams are so good. We know, Brunson knows, Cat knows. Everybody knows the weakness on the defensive side of the ball for us with Brunson in the pick and roll. Brunson knows this. Knicks know this. Now, what does that mean? That means they try to avoid that situation. They try to avoid it, okay? So they don't want Brunson in a one-on-one against a Halliburton, but this year it would be a Cade, right? And what teams are so good that they will switch until they get that matchup. They will keep setting picks and switch, and they do it so fast. Remember, 24-second clock. But they get it done so fast that all of a sudden you got Brunson against Cade. And then whoever the center is, usually it's Duran, he will come up and make the pick. So now you're dealing with a pick and roll situation with Cat, who generally is slow to react on a pick and roll, or he goes under, way under, and Brunson, who doesn't get over to get to the pick and roll shooter. And so problems, right? And then if you do happen to guard it, they swing that ball so fast to a weak side shooter, like it's Tobias Harris usually, or Duncan Robinson, that, done. By the time Josh Hart or Mikal Bridges figures that out, done. Shot is up. This is the league. They only need a split second, okay? That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of great shooters in college that can't make it in the league because of that. They only need a split second, especially from the corners. We got two guys that do it very well in OG and Mikal, and people do it against us. Same thing. So we really need to use these last 10 games to practice these things. I don't want to use the word practice because they're real NBA games, but work on these things. Put it that way. Work on getting them to the sideline. Work on the weak side three-pointer. We don't need Jalen Brunson to score 40 points. We need him to pass the freaking ball and give it to Cat, because Cat knows what to do with the daggone basketball. There's some offensive players, and then there's offensive players. Cat, you give him that ball. He knows where to pass it. He knows how to shoot it. He knows how to get to the hole. He do all of that. So get him the ball. Stop fighting the pressure. Let Mikal, let Josh, let OG, they could all bring the ball up. They could all bring it up. They don't need Jalen Brunson to do it. He is dangerous, that is JB, when he's off ball and he's running through picks and he's getting the ball and making a split-second decision with that elite footwork. That's where he's dangerous, okay? So I'm watching Detroit and I'm realizing, I guess what I'm saying with all of this, y'all, is to beat Detroit, and the Knicks could beat them now. We did last year. Detroit is better, and we're better, I got to say, because of the depth that we now use that we didn't employ last year. But you have to be at the top of your game. You can't be off and beat Detroit in 7 games. You got to be at the top of your game. You can't make defensive errors. You can't be giving up the paint. You have to make it tough on them. And last night when I'm watching the Lakers against Detroit, I'm watching Luka, okay? Because Luka, he got this, and we know about Luka, right? But Luka got this on the left side of the floor, this step back going to his left, and you could be all over him. He could be almost out of bounds, and he's swishing that thing from 28 feet, okay? He wasn't even getting that last night. Detroit took it from him. He's still Luka, so he was still going off. He's Luka, so you're not going to completely lock. Nobody going to lock Luka up. You're not locking Luka Doncic up, okay? That's just not going to happen. So last night, Luka had 32, 11 to 29. He was 3 of 13, though, from 3, because they took that fade. And I hardly see that anybody in the league, it's one of those moves where you know what he's going to do, and you still can't do nothing about it, okay? You know what he's going to do. And they took it away from him last night. Then it was a 1-point or 2-point game. Luka has the ball, okay? Luka gets in the paint. And Luka gets a floater and misses. Why is that significant? When Coach Brown talks about making teams feel us, that is, you're so physically aggressive against a team that they hear footsteps even when you're not there. It's like in football, right? Sometimes a receiver will drop a ball because he's been hit by a corner or a safety and he hears the footsteps. In the NBA, it's very similar, except it's not that much of a collision, but guys feel you and they know you're there, and they're so used to feeling you and knowing you're there that a shot they would normally hit, they don't hit. That happened to Luka last night. And I'm like, damn, see, he was feeling Detroit. Detroit makes you feel him. JB is doing a hell of a job. Detroit makes sure you feel him. And that's what Mike Brown is trying to get the Knicks to do. And generally they do it. It's just a couple of weak links. One is I mentioned Brunson. The other one is not Cat. Cat will make you feel him. But look, Cat get called fouls for stupid stuff. Not that Cat makes mistakes. He was earlier. He's improved that. Now he's just too strong. And they don't let him play. That fool talking about he don't like physicality. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. Mine not, because Cat could get physical. And I've seen him back people down and just flush it on them. He gets physical. But refs don't let him. Whereas they're letting people grab him and push him. Come playoff time, it's going to be a different story there. Right? Cat is the key here. Brunson is big. We need Brunson. We need the assassin, no doubt. But you want to beat Detroit, you want to be physical, you're going to need Cat. And Cat can do that. To me, he's at his prime right now. His prime is not just being able to physically do things. It's understanding the mental aspect of the game at a high level. Cat is there, okay? So they had Luka feeling them last night. And then, what's his name again? I can't remember the damn name. Jenkins. Boy, was money. Hit the winning shot. Was locking up Luka. They was rough last night, man. They was rough. And it was like, look, Asar Thompson was +1, 3 of 11 from the field. Didn't take a 3, only had 6 points. But defensively, okay? And now Duran is becoming what I thought coming out of Memphis, Duran was going to be a monster. And he is. No Cade last night. No Cade. Okay? So you're going to see now in the playoffs, Cade, with Dennis Jenkins, Paul Reed, Javonte Green, Ron Holland, Karis LeVert, and Howdy Doody, Kevin Huerter. You're going to see them coming off the bench. Yeah, we got to get ready. Okay, now tonight we got New Orleans. It's a good game to work on what we're talking about. DeJounte Murray is coming for blood. Okay, he's going to be in Madison Square Garden. He likes to show out. He's had big games in Madison Square Garden. We got to show out. We got to show him what we got to make New Orleans feel us. And then, of course, there's Zion, who is Zion now. He's not just a fat doughboy now. He's balling, okay? So we got Zion. We got DeJounte. And, of course, TM3. We got TM3. So there's all of that, and it's a good game for us to show what we could do. Also, on a positive note, Jose Alvarado is playing his former team. Okay, so you know how dudes get when they want to play their former team. They up for it, And Jose and New Orleans know all Jose little tricks, but the energy that he's going to bring is going to be there. The energy is going to be there. So we're not going to have Shamet today. Okay, fine. We're not Shamet. Okay, no problem. We know we don't have Deuce, but I'm expecting news about Deuce any day now, that he's practicing. So that's good. But tonight, so be no Shamet. So you're going to have your regular starting 5. And you're going to have Jordan Clarkson and Alvarado coming off your bench, which, hey, we don't have no problem with that. Then we still got, Mr. 40-point in the G League, Kolek. He's going to be available too. So you're going to have that. And I'm not worried about those 3 guys. This is the thing about having depth, okay? And guys staying ready, okay? Which is what was important about Kolek getting that 40-point. He's keeping his rhythm. We may need him, we may not. And this is the thing, y'all. We get to the playoffs, Deuce is healthy. Let's assume Deuce will be healthy. Shamet will be healthy. Alvarado will be healthy. You may not even see Kolek in the playoffs. And some of y'all going to whine. But listen, I'm sorry, I ain't got no cheese. We need to win, okay? Kolek is good, but he's not like the other dudes, especially when it comes playoff time. And we ain't got time to say, well, let's see what he got. Let's work on it. This ain't the time for that. This is the time to win, okay? Period. So you got to come with your money. You got to bring ass to get ass. It's time to bring that ass. That's what I'm saying. So right now, though, Kolek, for his credit, he stays ready, and he is good. And so tonight, you're going to see Alvarado, Jordan Clarkson, Kolek. And you need to see them for good minutes, okay? Of course, you're going to have Kumo D out there, MitchRob, our squad, okay? So they're going to be doing good. So listen, it's a good game for us to get ready. And again, of course, we're a half game behind them Green Monsters, them leprechauns from the north. We're a half game behind them. They got to play OKC tomorrow night. And I'm going to tell you something. Boston is good. I got to give, like I said, if you were asking me, I'm voting for Joe Mazzulla as coach of the year. But they're not Detroit. They're not. Okay? They're good, but they ain't Detroit. And so Oklahoma City can come in there and beat them tomorrow. So if that's the case, we need this dub tonight because we can take over the second seed. And that's the thing. I'd like to get the second seed because then we don't have to worry about Detroit until the Eastern Conference Finals. And we get the other series to get ready. When we're going to need that. Okay, we're going to need that. So, yeah. And Detroit's going to need it too. See, this is going to be, this playoffs, NBA basketball at a level that you ain't seen in a while. It's going to be it's really is. It's going to be NBA basketball at a high level. And that's really good. I know people, I heard somebody was talking about it. I think it was Tracy McGrady, how the talent is diluted. That's some bull crap. Right now, because of the way workout technology has changed, coaching has changed, strategies have developed, and everybody knows pretty much the formula for winning. You getting second round picks that's balling. It's not because the game is diluted, because second round picks are much better than they used to be. Okay? And so it ain't that. And yes, you're going to have a struggling couple of, new team expansion teams. That's always the case. Anytime there's an expansion team in any major sport, you're going to have a problem like that. But in terms of playoffs, it's the creme de la creme. And you're going to see basketball at the highest level. That's why we got to get our team. Our team's got to be ready. And I believe Mr. Coach Brown understands that. And so does the coaching staff. These guys ain't no rookies. And that's another reason. Whenever there's a coaching opening in New York, you always get these knuckleheads looking for, Jay Wright or somebody that's never coached in the league. You don't want that. This ain't college. This is the league. So you don't want nobody that's in their first year in the league or young in the league. You need grown-ass men that know how to coach, that's been in these wars before in the league. Mike Brown has. Okay, he has. So has Mr. Brunson's father, right? And so has a lot of these cats that they got, like Mo Cheeks. They've been in these wars. They know what it's about. Then you get a player like Mitchell Robinson. Remember last year, when we was down, he would say, don't worry, we've been here before. He was saying that. MitchRob was saying that. Don't worry, we've been here before. We're going to come back. And he usually would. So now MitchRob is at his prime, both in terms of mental game and, of course, rebounding, blocking shots game. So we good. It's just it ain't going to be no cakewalk. Some people expect the Knicks to blow everybody out, and when they don't, they start whining. I ain't got no cheese for you. This is going to be a war. And we being prepared for it, starting tonight with these New Orleans Pelicans. Let's get this dub. Y'all come out to play, act like you getting ready for the playoffs. I believe they will, especially Mr. Brunson. We don't need you dropping 45. We need you throwing some assists and getting hockey assists, being off ball, playing the game plan. Y'all enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk about it in the morning. Nobody get hurt, please. Shalom.